Don't go 15 miles over the speed limit. No drugs or guns. No alcohol. And women you know too well or not well enough.
On today's Top Shelf Tuesday edition of the Odd Coaches podcast, Dr. Adams and Coach Francis give off-season advice and support for NFL players. Dr. Adams teaches a social studies lesson involving the Washington Commanders. And the Odd Coaches discuss when the NFL should suspend players. Welcome to today's show. Dr. Keith Adams is the president of the CKA Save Project, a nonprofit organization designed to assist student athletes and the people who work with them through educational and professional development. He is a career academic and athletic leader with close to 30 years of experience on the high school and college levels. He has won numerous championships and epitomizes professionalism. Coach Mike Franchise Francis is one of the most successful football and basketball coaches in the state of Maryland. He too is a career academic and athletic leader with close to 30 years of experience on the high school and college level and is self-admittedly a little rough around the edges. Both men have mentored countless student athletes, teachers, and coaches using their unique methods and approaches to leadership. Both men also share a unique and special friendship that was cultivated often through their unique perspective of life and leadership. Dr. Adams through his extensive educational background and Coach Francis through his life experiences. Can these two men share a podcast without driving each other crazy? Welcome to the Odd Coaches podcast.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and with me today is my tag team partner. I hope you like this one. The Hulk Hogan to my hillbilly Jim in the WWF, the icon, the showstopper, the main event, and the reason why we are here, Coach Mike Francis. And Coach, I'm going with the hillbilly Jim reference because I am in West Virginia, and it's all outdoorsy stuff. So, how you doing this morning, brother?
Doing well.
Man, say what you want about Hogan, but when you was on his card, the check's cleared, man.
Big time.
I'll leave the recent stuff alone. But on this Top Shelf Tuesday edition, we're all over the place. We're going to give some off-season advice and support to NFL players, do a social studies case study on the Washington Commanders, and talk a little bit about the news and notes. But Coach, before we even do that, man, this is our anniversary week, sir. 1 year ago this week, we started doing this humbly on YouTube and figuring it out. And close to 150 episodes later, including a lost one or two. I'm so proud of it. So before we begin, any thoughts you have before we jump into news and notes, sir?
Happy anniversary. It didn't seem like it's been a whole year, but, it doesn't at all. So let's keep it going. Hopefully we'll be able to have another anniversary.
I'm hoping so too. So we're going to open the show with a couple of melancholy stories. Thoughts and prayers, first of all, go out to Jeff Gladney. He's an Arizona Cardinals cornerback. He was killed in a car accident, and the crash took place 2-something in the morning, and unfortunately, he lost his life. And Mike, I have often told you these are the times that I worry about, those times between training camps and OTAs. And then before our show taped, we found out that Marion Barber, former Dallas Cowboy and Chicago Bears running back, died at the age of 38. And again, the cause of his death is unknown. And I wanted to, just take this opportunity to kind of talk about a couple of things, because you deal with it too, and you're closer to it than I am. But it's really difficult being an athlete. You often have conflicting roles. You have to sustain motivation. When you're in college, there's a decreased academic expectation for you. And you live in this sports box. And when it's over, whenever it's over, it's just a hard transition Any thoughts about that before we talk about Tony Dungy's advice, according to Warren Sapp?
Yeah, when you're so used to being on stage, so to speak, that time that it goes away. And I was very fortunate to see this, what we already talk about. I watched the I Am Athlete podcast all the time. So, yeah, I look forward to having that discussion.
Yes, indeed. So Warren Sapp on a recent interview said Tony Dungy spoke about 5 tenets to avoid when he worked for him, when he played at Tampa Bay, won a Super Bowl. And the 5 are: don't be out past midnight. And something Herman Edwards talks about too. Don't go 15 miles over the speed limit. No drugs or guns. No alcohol. And women you know too well or not well enough. And when Warren Sapp was talking about this, he had mentioned a gentleman that played for the Raiders that had his issue and said, bam, he hit all 5. So any thoughts about Tony Dungy's advice? And I never heard it put that way. So when I heard Warren Sapp talk about it, it was like, yeah, I could totally see that.
And I first want to apologize because I did say I'm athlete. It was on the pivot. I remember now it was the pivot as they separated into a different one. But yeah, I mean, that's on point. Those 5 things, if you can stay away from those 5 things, I mean, we tell our kids similar things, but, not at that professional level. We definitely try to tell our athletes, the things they need to look out for, the pitfalls. We talk about drugs and alcohols, late nights, proper sleep, and things like that. So we don't get into the women and, we don't tell them none of that because that's, their business. But yeah.
So to close this segment, and again, we just wanted to take this opportunity to kind of hone on these things. There are 3 things from our book, Find the Balance, that you'll hear me talk about. My players will know it like a broken record. Everybody needs structure, which are boundaries and guardrails. Bounce all in and out of the boundaries, but don't cross them. Discipline, which is accountability. And support, which is high levels of help. And as we transition into the summer, this is when, as a coach, I worried because school, say what you want, it provides you structure. The season provides you structure. You know what's going on. Discipline, accountability. When you're in school, you have somebody to report to or something to do. And in the summertime, you're left to your own devices. And no, we can't raise you in bubble wrap. But man, it makes me nervous when you don't have that type of structure. And then support, high levels of help. What kind of help are you getting? What kind of help are you seeking? A lot of times help is available, but it's not sought out until too late. We're going to deal with several student athletes across the country who should be going to summer school to improve their academic standing, but will travel the country to play insert sport to try to get a scholarship.
Yeah.
But no scholarship can be accepted if you don't get admittance into the university that's going to offer you the scholarship. So I'll leave you with the last note, sir, before we transition back to our regular show.
Yeah, that's the thing that we do. That time away is the thing that really scares me when it comes to our student athletes. Shit, I had some guys who I was, afraid that I didn't see Monday. Like that's, Unfortunately, that's when I also had my better teams too. When I had more guys like that, because we were tougher. But yeah, excuse me. Some of our kids are in tough situations, and we try to just help them through what we can to make sure they understand and move forward. And then as they get older, we hope that they learn those lessons and the skills develop, that they are not as reliant as they believe they are on the things that they're doing. That's the major thing.
Right. Well, fans, thank you for letting us take this opportunity to just kind of share some thoughts and some ideas and a little bit of wisdom from 2 old heads. And we'll be right back on the iCoaches podcast.
Why should student athletes use the CKA SAVE Project academic and athletic consulting services? Over the past 15 to 20 years, colleges, universities, professional sports teams, Business organizations and others have increased their use of consulting services to improve their decision-making processes and results. Over the same time, the athletic and academic landscape has changed for high school and college student athletes as the NCAA has raised initial academic eligibility requirements for student athletes while decreasing the number of transfer restrictions. Former college student athletes have noted that they were academic and athletically unprepared for the rigors of college. Let the CKA SAVE Project's close to 30 years of academic and athletic experience help guide student athletes to increase success as we work to help student athletes achieve the goal of obtaining a college degree. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast. In segment 2, we're going to take you and do a little national, state, and local government with the Washington Commanders. So fans, I am a history teacher and a social studies teacher by trade, and the Washington Commanders are in the news for like all the wrong things, and they're on national news, they're on state news, and they're on local news. So, Mike, let me break this down for you on the national level. Washington Commanders owner Dan Snyder and NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell have been requested to testify at a congressional hearing coming up in the month of June. Representative Carolyn Maloney, the chairwoman of the Committee on Oversight and Reform, and Representative Rajana Krishunvi is the chairman of the Subcommittee on Economic and Consumer Policy, sent letters to both Goodell and Dan Snyder making the request. Now, these requests, I'm sure, are going to be denied, but when you have Congress investigating you, that's not a good thing, and that's national news. And aren't we in an election year?
A lot of people are falling into that, of course, you know that.
So any thoughts about this? Because they've been requested to go before Congress. And again, if I'm the attorney, a request can be denied. But that's the kind of attention you have on your product right now. Any thoughts, sir?
No, not at all with that. I hate, you're not forcing them to come. It's not a subpoena, so they don't have to be there. So I doubt very seriously if they attend.
Yes. But again, when those committees are looking at your business practices,
yes,
it's not good. So on the state level, in April, the Virginia Attorney General's office opened an investigation into allegations that the Washington Commanders engaged in financial improprieties. The Virginia Attorney General, Jason Miyares, told the team that he felt it was his responsibility to carefully examine the material facts after it was brought to my attention. So now the state of Virginia, who the Washington Commanders just bought some land from, are looking into their business. So you've got the national level looking into their business. And you've got the state's lawyer. That's pretty much what the Attorney General is, looking into your financial improprieties alleged. Any thoughts on that? That's 2 for 2, man.
Yeah, that's not. And then once they start looking, man, God, like that's not good. That's not good at all, man. It's just there's some things going on that I think somebody's going to have to answer for. I don't know who's going to take the fall for it, but it seems like they're just building up, things that's going to definitely hurt them in the end by the way they're doing things. It doesn't make sense, but and that's talking about moving, right?
So now we get to the local level. So the Washington Commanders currently have a stadium in Maryland that is pretty much a cavern, and there's nothing around it, and it's just a stadium, and it seats 70 to 80,000 people. Maryland would like to keep them, but right now their leadership is kind of all over the place, and who knows? We just know that the lease is up 2027. Okay, DC would love to have them. But the mayor and all of these different offices are feuding and fussing with each other.
Mhm.
And the RFK Stadium site, which is where they had played in their glory years, is on federal property. And the feds say until the local officials get on the same page, ain't no need to talk to us. And now we've got the Virginia Attorney General investigating, and we also have the Virginia officials saying we don't know if we want to fund, any new project with an organization being investigated by the federal government. So, wow. Any, any final thoughts before we transition to on the field issues?
I definitely understand that they're not wanting to get into bed with them not knowing what's going to happen after this comes out. But we'll see. We'll definitely see.
That's a lot of news in the wrong direction, man.
It
And we haven't
is.
even talked about the quarterbacks and the running backs and paying the receivers. These are the things they're in the news for right now.
But how
So,
can you be successful when it's unsuccessful and unstructured from top to bottom? Like again, we talk about programs that consistently win, like the Steelers, Packers. Their offices and owners, you never see them in the news. Like
Never.
New England, well, except for
remix to ignition. All right. So in our final story for this segment, I thank my partner for this. He's got the whole world in his hands. Star defensive tackle Aaron Donald said he'd be at peace with his career if the Rams can't agree to a new contract. Aaron Donald's got 2 years left on a deal, but no more guaranteed money. So he wants this deal ripped up, and he wants to be compensated for what he does and continues to do for the organization. Now, me not being as astute as a football person as my partner, listened very closely all year to what Mike says in terms of how the Rams do their business, and doing the business that way won a Super Bowl. So I talked to more football people, and more football people agree with my partner saying that dude's a difference maker. And because we have paid regular people difference maker money, the math is all off, and the Rams are in quite a quandary. So, Mike, what are you thinking, man? Do the Rams pay him? Do they bait and see if he's going to retire? Do you roll seven and play chicken? What do you do, man?
I try to sign him to a 1 year deal. Try to get him to a 1 year deal with a serious guarantee up front, just to keep him for 1 year, and then we go from there. I don't want to make him. I don't know if they've already labeled a franchise player or not, or because how many years he's been in, he's able for that tag. I don't know if he's able for that tag or not. But I definitely, I got to get him in. I got to get him in. I got to keep him in because he's the difference. I mean, he showed it. And I think people don't realize it took to those last two drives like that all season. But he showed you that last drive why they pay him the money and why he's good. Because when you need him, he does what he do. And there's no way you can. I mean, you can't block him in the interior.
No, and because he's 31, I will pull up the truck for this year. You are right, because I think I can get two. I don't know if I can get three, but I think I can get two. So if I think I can get two, I'm going to throw a big number out for 1 year, big signing bonus, and then the low cap number. I think that's how they try to do it. You give him big signing bonus, low cap number. But yeah, he is a difference maker. He is worth it. And this is what happens when you pay other people big money when you probably should pay those people big money, and the person you have to pay, you ain't got no money left, and now you sit there talking about the hometown discount, and we ain't doing none of that. We ain't doing none of that.
But I think who's getting the money on the Rams?
Well, didn't Matthew get money?
Well,
and
shouldn't he?
Again, yeah. So
he should,
0.5
right?
is not West Virginia with me though, but
no, but he should, right?
Yeah, Matthew should. Yeah, you win the Super Bowl, come in. You the missing piece.
Okay.
Give me your money.
Okay.
Problem, that guy money. He did what he was supposed to do. But I am sure that there are guys on the Rams right now that you're like, why am I paying this guy? We're not going to be paying Aaron Donald. I can get another replacement for this fool. But hey, with that, we'll be back after this short break on the Odd Coaches podcast.
Dr. Keith Adams, president of the CKA Save Project's book, Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success, is now available for purchase. The book serves as both a memoir of Dr. Adams' 30-year academic and athletic career, as well as an instructional guide to assist student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators navigate through the challenges of finding a better balance between academic and athletic success. The book includes numerous personal stories and anecdotes from Dr. Adams, along with numerous former players and colleagues, including former George Mason standout Follering Campbell. You can order your copy at www.ckasaveproject.org. From the main page, simply click CKA Save Project Services and order the Find the Balance book. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to our Top Shelf Tuesday edition of the Odd Coaches podcast. And in segment 3, we're kind of all over the place. Okay. Another distraction. So, Mike, we're going to tiptoe, but I think we can walk a little more gingerly. Another woman has filed a lawsuit against Deshaun Watson, joining the other 22, and there may be a 24th. According to the lawsuit, the woman changed her mind about suing Watson after watching HBO's Real Sports. On that show, 2 other women who also accused Watson criticized the Browns, giving the quarterback a NFL record $230 million guaranteed contract. So I want to get you on the field, man. What are we doing? The league still hasn't announced a punishment. You have another civil suit, and you got to start getting ready to play football games in about 100 days, man, give or take. What are your thoughts, sir?
I think that I wouldn't be shocked if more came out, like just after that that whole piece with Real Sports. Wasn't shocked at all that more people will come out and press charges or whatever it may be, but there must be something if they decided not to charge him, who knows? I'm not sure. I don't think there's like something is going wrong with how this whole thing is going. So do you bring him in? Do you have him at training camp? Does he what? Where do you go from this? Now, why he's fighting this? Will he be allowed to participate? What is the league's goal right now? What's the league's plan? Put it that way.
Well, to my knowledge, he's at off-season workouts, and he's doing everything in terms of preparing for the season. And the league has not announced any disciplinary actions yet. My question to Coach Franchise is, do you move forward on a day-to-day basis with him as your number one? Do you split reps between him and Jacoby Brissett? What would you be doing right now, knowing that, he hasn't been suspended yet, so go. You can do whatever you need to in terms of preparation, but not knowing what's going to happen. How do you deal with that as a coach?
I would go 70-30 right now, not knowing. And then as time goes on, if I have to, I would decrease the amount of reps he get and then bring it, flop it the other way. So right now I would do 70-30. And as the time goes on, if things different, I can go 60-40, 50-50, just to make sure. Because he has
those games are still coming.
Yeah, no matter what, they still there. The calendar's there, the schedule's there. So. But, I would go 70-30, give him a chance to learn the offense, get with the receivers right now, make him carry most of the load. And then from that point on, we'll see where we go from there.
All right. So should the league discipline him is the question. So a Colorado judge dismissed all charges against Denver Broncos wide receiver Jerry Jeudy last week. Since we brought the story up, we want to close the story and say all charges were dropped. However, something did happen to have the police involved in the first place. So now I'm putting your administrator hat on. as a league a front office executive, do you do anything, or hey, no charges, no issue? What do you think, sir?
No charges, no issue. I don't know what, I can't suspend him for something that he wasn't charged for, right?
All right. But we did want to close that up in a bow, and I'm in agreement with you. I have already pulled him into the room and said, hey, homeboy, Tony Dungy's giving you 5 pieces of advice. Let's go follow him. And keep it.
That's what Dr. Adams would say. Franchise would say, what the hell are you doing, man? Look, cut this shit out. We don't need this. If you come in here again, there will be an issue. You don't have to wait on the league. I will definitely handle it myself here in-house.
All right. Okay, so what can we do to help? The former longtime partner of former Washington Super Bowl MVP Mark Rippon filed a lawsuit against him seeking damages for physical and emotional abuse after years of alleged acts of domestic violence and repeated threats. Danielle Wade, who's been with Rippon for 18 years, sued earlier this month in Spokane County, which is Washington State, and the suit documents incidents from 2008 to September 2020. Although the two never married, he often referred to her as his wife. The thing, and the reason why I brought this up is that transition, Mike, from professional athlete to private continues year after year after year to come up. Rippon, who retired in 2002, told the newspaper that he has struggled with depression, suicidal thoughts, memory loss, and uncontrollable impulses he says stems from head injuries while playing football. The suit references him as being diagnosed with traumatic brain injury. Mike, what can we do to help? What should the NFL do to help? Because obviously, not just Mark Rippon, but player after player after player just needs assistance, man. What can we do, man?
I don't know if there needs to be more mental help. I don't know I think so, but I think there needs to be maybe a larger commitment to health and social emotional health, and a larger commitment to the physical aspect of playing. The depression issue, I say again, that's the thing that I think is major. The depression leads to everything else, falling apart.
Yeah. So we've talked about a lot of strong and tough issues today, folks. So we're going to end the show with a nice gesture. In a homage to its namesake, the cover of Madden NFL 23 will have one person on it, and that's John Madden. John Madden, a Hall of Fame coach who died in December, will be on the cover of all 3 editions of this year's game, which will be released in August. It's the first time in over 2 decades Madden will be the focal point of the cover. And that put a smile on my face, Mike, because one, Madden came out when we were still spry and video gaming all over the place. And 2, a generation of kids learn how to play football through Madden, and quite frankly, their level of football IQ should be much higher than the previous generation. Any thoughts on Madden being on the cover of Madden one more time?
As he should be, as he should continue, because I don't want that curse, the Madden curse. Don't put me on it.
All right. So with that, on behalf of my tag team partner, Coach Mike Francis, I am Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches podcast. Signing off from scenic West Virginia. We will see you on the sidelines. Till next time, take care.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.